What's going on, guys? Dana from ModBot here. Hope you guys are doing awesome. In today's video, we are looking at this machine right here. This is the TronXY or TronXY. I always call it TronXY, but it might be TronXY. The XY-2 Pro 3D printer. I've reviewed quite a few TronXY machines over the years, and honestly, this is my favorite. This is my favorite machine out of their printers that I reviewed, which I guess is a good thing because that means that they are improving and their machines are getting better. But this machine at initial glance probably looks a lot like a Ender 3 or that style of machine because it's using the same kind of aluminum extrusions that is really common on a lot of 3D printers coming out of China, and just in general now it seems to be a standard, which I personally am really happy with because I was here in the days of kit 3D printing where it was all acrylic based, and the machines, if you moved them at all, it was completely just out of level, and the whole machine would like kind of skew and twist. So the aluminum extrusions to me are a really awesome thing. But I have reviewed a lot of machines with this same form factor over the past year here, really since the popularity of the Creality Ender machines have kind of risen. Well, one thing that I really wanted to test out about this machine that caught my eye was the auto bed leveling. A lot of the machines that I use don't have auto bed leveling. I've added it to machines before, but I have the CR10S Pro and I have I've tested out the CR20 Pro from Creality, which both have auto leveling. One uses a BL Touch type sensor and one uses I believe it's an inductive sensor, the other one. But either way, both of those leveling setups that come stock on the Creality Pro machines are terrible in my opinion. I love their machines, but I don't know if it's a firmware thing or what the deal is, but without modifying the firmware and potentially the hardware as well, out of the box, they are pretty worthless in my opinion. I've had my CR10S Pro and I love it, but the leveling on it is a pain and I have to jog the Z offset on it every single time I run a print to make sure that first layer is actually where it's supposed to be. So seeing this machine after TronXY reached out to me, one thing I was really curious about was the auto bed leveling. I wanted to know, for the price point of $200, which is really inexpensive, you've got this rigid machine that's got auto bed leveling. So I was curious to see whether it even worked, even remotely. And I will get into that, but that is the main reason why initially I said, yes, I really want to review this. I was curious to see how another company's auto bed leveling built-in would stack up against the kind of poor experience that I'd had up to this point. The machine came really well packaged, covered in foam, which was great. It came with 250 grams of material, which is also great. This isn't very uncommon, but it's also, I've received quite a few machines with just like a tiny little strand of filament. So 250 grams is enough to at least get you up and running with some test prints. So that's always much appreciated when manufacturers do provide some filament, especially on such a low cost machine. There's also a ton of accessories or replacement parts. There was a complete entire replacement hot end. There was extra screws for everything. There was extra nozzle, which to me is fantastic. If something goes wrong on the machine, you don't have to go out and order replacement parts. You've already got some extras. Of course, you don't want things to go wrong on the machine, but again, if it does happen, that is nice to have in your back pocket, basically. Setting up this machine was relatively simple. I would say it took me about 15 minutes to assemble all the pieces. It did come with a really nice printout booklet, which to me, the instructions were top-notch. I think TronXY did a great job with their instructional booklet, and it was pretty similar to what we're all used to. I had to attach the touchscreen, which was currently mounted below the machine, to right here and plug that in. Then it was attaching the whole top carriage to the bottom carriage, which is just 4 screws, and then plugging in all the cables, which we're all familiar with. So yeah, and a really quick rundown. Build volume on this is going to be the same as like that of the Ender 3, but some things that are pretty neat about it is, one, it's got that touchscreen, which isn't necessarily adding a ton of features, but hey, in 2019 we're all used to having touchscreens, and I definitely can appreciate having a touchscreen on the 3D printer. Power supply and main board are tucked underneath. The bottom of this is actually made of 40/40 extrusions, which is insane. So these are 40/40s, these are 20/40s, and then you've got obviously 20/20, 2040s. It is not supported on both sides, which is unfortunate, but there is eccentric nuts at least, so I didn't notice any issues with slop or sag of the carriage. Cabling is awesome on this. They use something similar to what we've been seeing on like either the artillery machines or the CR10S Pro machines, where it's got kind of a ribbon cable, so there's not a bunch of cables running around. It's really, really nice as far as the cable management goes. The build plate is aluminum, but it's actually got a removable, so it's just clipped on, it's not magnetic, but it does have, if you remove these clips, it's got like a essentially knockoff build tack, but it is a flexible sheet. It's pretty thick, and so when you're done with your print, you just take it off, flex the part, clip it back on, and you know, hit print and you're good to go again. Is it as nice as having a removable magnetic flex plate? No, but it is not a bad solution. These build tack knockoff stuff, to me, I get issues where, yes, things stick really well, but removing them can be a complete nightmare. And so having the ability to, again, just completely flex the plate, that's really nice. So I think they did a great job with that. Once this machine was all assembled, I went ahead and powdered it on and went to the leveling section, which I was, to be honest with you, thinking that it was going to be a complete nightmare. But I was really surprised. So you need to level, you need to hit auto level. It goes around and it probes 16 points on the bed, so 4x4 grid of points, and then it'll display all the values of those 16 points. And it tells you that if the largest to smallest value out of those points is greater than 0.8 millimeters, then you need to manually adjust which corner it is and have it reprobe. So I did that twice before the offset from the highest to lowest number was, you know, within that 0.8 millimeter range. So once that was done, the next thing you need to do is set your Z offset. We're all pretty familiar with that. Most of us should at least be familiar with that if you 3D printed at all. Getting a piece of paper and just slowly bumping down the hot end until you feel it grabbing on the piece of paper but not tearing it. There's tons of videos on how to do that. And then you set the Z offset. And after that, I loaded up some filament. I just basically pulled up a Cura profile that I have that's just kind of a standard Cura profile for these sort of form factor machines, and was off and printing. And I printed 6, well, more than that. I had one failed print. Well, one print didn't fail. One print finished, and before I remembered that I could remove this plate, when I was trying to remove it, I snapped the Nutcracker in half. It was actually Nutcracker version 1. He snapped in half, so rest in peace. This is the second one. But yeah, between each of those prints, I didn't have to re-level the bed. The first layer was fine. On one of the prints, I did notice that it was not sticking down quite as close, so I did do a little bit of a brim, but for the rest of them, no brim at all, no re-leveling, and the leveling worked great, which to me was completely shocking. I mean, all in all, I only did test out PLA on this. I don't do a lot of ABS printing, and PETG printing you can do on machines that are not having all metal hot ends, but I've been doing less and less of it just because if you're getting close to that 245, 250C, then you really could be getting into the melting temperature for the Teflon, and if the temperature sensor is incorrect and it's off by 5C or something like that, then you could really be melting the Teflon, which is not something that I want to do. So I just did PLA. PLA prints turned out really good. I was using an Ender profile, and my Ender does have direct drive, so I did have to bump the retraction up after the first 2 prints. I noticed there was quite a bit of stringing going on, but that seemed to fix that right up. And yeah, overall, this machine has been awesome. I can't believe really that it's $200. It feels like that's a little low considering that it's built really well, has the auto bed leveling and all of the other kind of features with it, the filament runout sensor, power resume, touchscreen, like all the stuff that we know and love. There are 2 gripes that I have with this machine. One of them is, well, neither of them really affect the print quality or the machine, but the user experience, if you will. So under the printer, there is a box that has the main board, and there is a fan. I believe it's an exhaust fan that kicks heat out of the controller area, and that fan is freaking loud. I mean, it sounds like if you ever had a PlayStation 3 when it got really hot and it kind of sounded like a jet turbine, it is very loud. I do wish they had used better fans. Definitely something that you can really easily fix by picking up a fan with some better bearings. I don't know if they have Noctuas that size. I think it might be a 20 by 20, maybe it's a 30 by 30 millimeter fan, but either way, the fan is very loud, which For me, I'm in my office. I don't really care, but that could be something that you care about, so that's something I wanted to be let known. The only other thing, which is really, really petty, but it's still kind of something that I wanted to bring up, is like I mentioned, the bed is removable, but it uses binder clips, which is fine. A lot of my machines use binder clips. There's nothing wrong with it. But the binder clips that the machine came with, there's a yellow one, there's a blue one, and then there's two pink ones. And to me, it just looked kind of tacky having these different binder clip colors on here. Like, if they were all pink or all yellow or all blue or all black, I wouldn't have minded. And yes, this is like a 30-cent fix. But to me, with how much time and thought they obviously put into this machine, this is such a small thing that should not have been the case. It should have been all one color, because to me, just again, it looks like a makeshift thing, which doesn't feel like that's what they're going for with this machine. So anyways, again, really small things. Overall, this machine for right now, it's going for like $199, I think is a phenomenal machine. Arguably, and again, I'll get lack for this, but arguably I like this better than my Ender 3 if the Ender 3 was stock. My Ender 3 is really decked out, so I love it. But for just completely out of the box machine, this is a really impressive kit. So if you guys do want to find out more about the TronXY XY-2 PRO, I will place links down below. And yeah, let me know what you guys think. I hope you guys all are doing awesome. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And as always, thank you to my Patreon supporters. You guys are super sweet. And thanks to you guys, I was able to use that and some other funds that I put together and purchase a really cool machine, which I will show you guys in a future video. But yeah, seriously, you guys are awesome for supporting the channel. And I can't wait to see you guys in my next video. Peace, guys.